we have our next candidate, Shelly, checked the board a few minutes ago. We have Shelly Northway from Ankeny. Shelly's running for the Ankeny School Board. I believe this is her second time around. She ran a couple years ago.
Yes.
So we enjoy getting into it right away, and you got in early too. So you've been out there for several months. And I caught you on social media there back probably 3 or 4 months ago. And we have a lot of good friends that we've endorsed over the last couple of years, especially last year for state representative, where we're lucky we got 2 reps in on the progressive side. And but I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to give the floor to Shelly. And Shelly, you have up to 5 minutes to talk about yourself, about your campaign. And after that, Patrick will ask you 2 or 3 questions.
Okay.
And if time permits, we'll give you a minute or 2 to close it out. Then we'll be done with you within 15 minutes by 7:45. So, Shelly, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you. I typed out what I was going to say. So can you hear me?
Yes.
Everything. Okay, good. Thank you for your consideration and this opportunity tonight to share a bit about myself. I am a mom of 4 Ankeny graduates. I myself am an Ankeny alumni. I've lived in Ankeny since 1978. I was PTO president for about 8 years. I have served on the facility committee. I have served on the equity committee. I have served on the Ankeny School Foundation Board. I worked with the district to create VIPs, Volunteers in Public Schools, an opportunity where community members, parents, grandparents can find an opportunity to volunteer in the school district, making it a centralized location. I believe 100% fully that parents should be part of their children's education. And that's why I created the VIPs. And that's why I have volunteered in PTO and why I have been part of committees and have attended the meetings. Since I announced in December that I was running for the school board, I have spoken with hundreds of Ankeny residents. And the one question that I get asked the most is what's happening in our schools? And this is not how we treat our teachers. And they are 100% correct. The environment that's happening now is not the Ankeny that I grew up and raised my family in. I have received so many emails, texts, phone calls from teachers and staff sharing their personal stories, how the schools are understaffed, how they feel underappreciated, how they're not respected, how they're not supported, and the acts of violence and physical harm that these teachers are enduring from have endured from their students. And they've shared why they're leaving Ankeny School District. And so a lot of good teachers who have been here for years are leaving and going to surrounding school districts. And we know our teachers and staffs are the backbone. And the reason the Ankeny schools have always been so highly regarded and teachers have always fought to get in here. And if we are not supporting them just morally, and financially, then we're not going to be the best that we could be. We're not going to have that standard. I have also been attending our school board meetings and I have been speaking at our meetings. I spoke for the DEI Achievement Specialist position. I speak up for our teachers. I spoke up against the book bans that they wanted to do. And I will continue to speak up for those who can't, and those teachers that cannot, for the students that cannot, and the parents that cannot. So that is who I am. I'm running to make us the best Ankeny school district that we can be.
You're on mute, Mitch.
Fascinating. I'm sorry. Okay. Shelly, thank you very much. You did it within 5 minutes. We do appreciate that. We're going to give the floor now to Patrick Borchak-Pinzon. He's the chair of our election endorsement committee, and he's going to ask you 2 or 3 questions.
Okay.
And if time permits, we might give you a minute or 2 at the end to say a few more.
Okay.
But Patrick, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mitch, and thank you, Shelly, for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and share some of a couple of the questions that we from the questionnaire that
Lord. Okay.
specifically put on your reading glasses.
Sorry.
So in this question number 6. Okay, so first of all, thank you for taking the time to submit the questionnaire. So in question number 6, we asked you what steps you advocate for stop bullying in students, particularly in marginalized communities. Okay, so one of the things you indicated was proper training
Yes.
for our teachers, faculty, and staff, and holding bullies accountable. Okay,
Yes.
so first of all, specifically, what should be the curriculum of this training for teachers, faculty, and staff? In other words, what is the outcome? What's the desired outcome there? And with respect to accountability, so accountable in what way? What measures of accountability would you advocate?
Right. Okay. So regarding the steps to advocate for to stop bullying is one, we need to, when something happens, if you see something, you say something, right? So there's a lot of things that could go seen, heard, and not addressed. Whether teachers or students or staff don't know how to address that. Okay, we've all heard of the permission slips to use certain words, you know, get with students. And even though we all know that that is unacceptable, we still need to train our staff on how to deal with that situation, how we address it with the students by being very verbal and upfront about it, you know, during, you know, class times. This is unacceptable behavior. If you see it, you say something, you turn, it's, you know, there's a process. We start there. But again, they have to know that when they do this, the teachers and staff do this, or even the students do this, that they're supported. Okay, it's not just going to be shoved under the door, under the rug. They're supported and it will be addressed. When it comes to holding them accountable, that doesn't always mean that it's a punishment, right? So when a person is an aggressor, whether it's verbally or vocally, or verbally or physical, or online, there's a reason behind it. And sometimes if we can find out the reason, it was to the left, that's the, figure out the why, then maybe we can figure out, help this no longer be an issue. And then being held accountable doesn't always mean punishment. Being held accountable to be writing an apology letter, could be volunteering in some kind of other community outreach, or, you know, working with another group of students, just trying to help that child figure out his why.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So the second question that we wanted to ask you about was regarding number 7, placing police officers, school resource officers, private security in public schools. Okay, so we know from your answer to this question that you do support maintaining the current SRO program in Ankeny at its current level.
Yes.
So now we would like you to provide some clarity on the details that you've provided. For example, what specific racial disparities in the SRO program are you looking to track, and how would you address them? And what would restorative justice practices and programs specifically look like, what you would like to implement and invest in?
Right. So we already know that well, with in Ankeny, our school resource officers are another form, another level of people, adults, that our students can interact with and build trusting relationships with. I personally have had my own dealings with the SROs in school with my students, and they've all ended in a positive way. Now, may not be for everyone, but in my situation, it was. I also believe that the SROs need to also, and we actually had our John Davis, who's our head security, came to a meeting and talked about the same kind of thing, where we have an incident, We can't just react to the incident. We need to work to the left of it. We need to find out why, because issues with students are always, they give you every single sign that something's happening. So we need to know how to listen. We need to see it. We need to have that training set so teachers can see it, staff can see it, the security SROs can see it, and what they do, what those steps are to go forward. We already know, they track who is always being sent to the office, right? They know who the troubled child or children, students are. We had recently, our Parkview principal had a presentation that he had given at an equity committee, and I kind of shared a bit about that. He had always been, academics will go into, behavior, and then we'll work on belonging. He changed his whole thought process because he kept seeing the same number of same students continuously being sent to the office. He wanted to know why, and he first started out with a open group, saying, it's just open mic, kind of come in, share your thoughts. Came in, they put them all on a board, and from there they studied what the kids were saying, what the issues were, and then they changed their thought. The children need to feel like they belong, and then they will change their behavior, and then we will see their academics go up. So we need to look at those numbers, see what the issues are of why these children are acting out, and then build off of that.
Okay, thank you very much. You've got a few minutes left, so why don't you at this time tell us what your campaign looks like strategic wise. How do you plan to win this election?
Well, I announced in December, and I started making phone calls about that same time, shortly after, at the end of December, first of the year, reaching out to the community members, introducing myself, letting them know where I stood regarding my campaign. We have sent off lots of emails, and I have been attending the school board meetings consistently, sharing my thoughts and using my voice. Again, showing up at all the committee meetings that I am involved in. I am just trying and make myself available as much as I can. What else are we doing? We have our Canvas kickoff is this Friday, so we'll be out knocking doors. So that starts here soon. We have yard signs that have already been out. So just trying to get out there and be seen and be talking to people and listening to them. I am pretty much, anybody can get a hold of me at any time, and they often do. So I have a lot of emails and texts and Facebook messages that happen. So just get out there, knocking doors, face to face. That's how it's going to happen.
Okay, wonderful. I think Mitch wants to close things out now, so I'll give him the floor.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us tonight, especially on a very short notice, less than 24 hours. Our committee will, and our membership, I should say, will be making a decision by next Wednesday evening.